Thank you, especially because my voice. All right. Well, thank you everybody for your patience. Let's start by taking attendance, Spencer.
Committee member Hunter.
Present.
Committee member Vice Chair Palmer. Present. Chair Turgeon.
Present.
And committee member Pauly.
Present.
And we have committee member Sanders absent. Staff present today are planning manager Hill, principal planner Roveri, principal planner Sabdo, and myself, recording secretary Argenbright. Information on participating in this meeting and providing public comment is on, including remotely by Zoom or telephone, is online at monterey.gov/agendas. Remote commenters will be muted until it is their turn to speak, and a timer will be shown on the screen. If you are connected on Zoom, the timer is accurate with no delay. In the chamber, we recommend keeping phones and devices muted to prevent audio interference with the meeting. Thank you for participating in your city government.
Thank you. All right. Well, let's open the consent agenda. Does any member of the public or committee have any comments or would like to discuss a consent item? No.
And there are no attendees online currently.
Super.
I move that we approve the consent agenda, including the minutes from the previous meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And it passes. Approved. So then we will open public comments for items not on the agenda.
No attendees currently online.
Super. Okay, then we will open the first item. Pardon me. So we're going to consider 200 Fred Kane Drive, a sign permit application SI-25-0009.
Yes, thank you. I will share screen and bring up the presentation. Okay. Thank you, Chair Turgeon. As the chair mentioned, this first public hearing request is going to be for the sign permit application SI-25-0009 for freestanding signs at 200 Fred Kane Drive. And the staff recommendation is to adopt a resolution to approve sign permit application with conditions of approval. So just to catch everyone up, and I'll move this out of the way a little bit. The site, 200 Fred Kane Drive, I think most are familiar with this site, is the Monterey Regional Airport, which the entire property encompasses about 477 acres. However, only a small portion of that property is actually located in the city's jurisdiction, as shown here in the red hatching on this aerial photo. Just the southern 4.3 acres identified there, which includes as part of their proposed development is where their existing temporary long-term parking is and where their proposed permanent long-term parking will be located after reconstruction. This portion of the site to be developed is in Airport Safety Zone 7. So, as mentioned, the proposal includes 4 vehicle-oriented freestanding signs. So as you may see on some of the plans, there's an additional signs that are shown on some of the site plans. However, I'll note that those lie outside of the city's jurisdiction, so that's why they're not being considered as a part of this request. But what is within the city's jurisdiction is the 4 vehicle-oriented freestanding signs, one in which is proposed to be internally illuminated. And all of the signage is associated with the new passenger terminal being constructed at the airport in association with the new reconstruction and expansion of the long-term parking lot. So top 2 signs show the proposed signs that are going to be located at near the intersection of Olmsted Road and Highway 68, and then the freestanding sign that's going to be within, it's a little bit washed out on this site plan due to the resolution of the screen, but that's actually located within a proposed roundabout that will be at the intersection of Garden Road and Olmsted Road. Two additional signs are proposed, and these are more directional signs. One is well within the site of the proposed parking lot, and one is within the right of way along Olmsted Road. And we'll get into those details of those signs in just a moment. So the first sign, sign XM01, is the sign proposed to be located within the proposed roundabout. It is a freestanding sign with internal illumination. Halo lit axon lighting proposed with three individual letter components as shown here with the elevation, and then also a side elevation of each one of those letter components is also shown on this slide. The sign totals about 312.6 square feet. And is, as I mentioned, this would be proposed within the roundabout that's going to be at the intersection of Garden Road and Olmsted. The second freestanding sign that's being proposed, also located in the right of way, is sign XM02. It totals 37 square feet and is not illuminated. This would replace the existing sign that's near the intersection of Olmsted Road and Highway 68 that most of us are familiar with today. So this would be a replacement of that, but also located within the right of way. And then for the vehicle directional signs, we have sign XW01. This is also located in the right of way. It's non-illuminated and is going to total 24.6 square feet and is depicted here in its location along Olmsted Road, further along Olmsted Road than the sign at the intersection. And then sign XW0, this is located more internal to the parking lot, provides exit signage for those who are exiting the parking lot, measures 24.6 square feet, and is also non-illuminated. So the findings for approval of these signs is our typical sign findings as shown here on this slide, and that's that the proposal achieves the purposes and objectives of the sign ordinance, that the proposal is consistent with the guidelines, or the ARC may determine that the proposal better achieves the purpose and objective than strict application of the guidelines. And then the third, that the proposal is consistent with the general plan. There are additional findings that are required for this request, given that 3 of the 4 signs being proposed are located within the city's right-of-way. And those findings that are required for right-of-way encroachment include that the special circumstances applicable to the property in terms of location and surroundings are met, that the sign shall be subject to such conditions as will assure the permit will not constitute a grant of special privilege, and that the encroachment permit shall not be granted if the applicant's inability to post a sign on private property is because of any of the following, which includes a design that could have been avoided by an alternative development plan, is the result of an action taken by the current property owner prior owner of the property, or if the property can serve as a site for a sign with access to public view that is in the same or better than access enjoyed by other properties in the vicinity or under identical zoning class. And then additional findings for continued additional findings for right-of-way encroachment include that the following conditions be imposed on any encroachment permits for signage. That's that design review pursuant to 31-5 is completed, which is what we're doing today at this meeting. And that the city traffic engineer review for traffic and safety hazards. And then also that the sign must otherwise be in compliance with this chapter in the sign guidelines. And then there's a last finding that in the event that one or more of the conditions imposed on the sign is violated, that the permit may be revoked at any time. So we'll walk through those findings briefly. So the first finding, whether or not the proposal achieves the purpose and objectives of the sign ordinance, staff believes this finding can be made. The proposal does not appear to constitute a proliferation of signs that would detract or obscure the scenic qualities of the city. The signage serves to identify a transportation facility that's integral to the region, and the design would not be considered extraneous. And the proposal is designed to be an integral visual part of the site and building design, and the quality of the design equals or surpasses that of the building and site. Second finding is whether or not the proposal is consistent with the site guidelines, or the ARC has determined that it better achieves the purpose and objectives of the sign ordinance than the strict application of the guidelines. Staff believes that this finding can be made, but the ARC would have to make this determination. I've highlighted here the inconsistencies that are included. So starting with the freestanding sign XM01, Obviously, the 262 square foot proposed sign there would exceed the maximum recommended 50 square feet for freestanding signs. The sign is also totals 13 feet 6 inches in height, where 8 feet is recommended. Staff believes that the proposed sign is appropriate for the site and that the sign size would be proportionally reflective of the scale of development and the airport facility. And additionally, the additional inconsistency is that the request includes 2 freestanding signs along the same street frontage where only one is recommended. Staff believes that this is appropriate and that the additional signage would provide the necessary assistance with wayfinding at a regional transportation facility that is quite large and includes multiple buildings and ancillary uses and is often traveled by visitors from out of town. Continuing with the inconsistencies associated with finding number 2, is that one of the freestanding signs, XM01, would be internally illuminated with cool white coloring, where lighting is recommended to be shielded and utilize warm tones. Staff believes that this inconsistency is appropriate for this proposed sign and that it will be halo lit, which will minimize the glare and uplighting around the airport, and that the signage would actually match the existing branding and be cohesive in aesthetics and design with the remainder of the complex and other signage that will be employed on site. Additionally, the request includes 2 freestanding signs. Oh, I actually already covered that one. Sorry. Finding number 3, that the proposal is consistent with any adopted land use document, including but not limited to the Monterey General Plan and any applicable neighborhood plans or design guidelines. Staff believes this finding can be made as well. The proposed signage is consistent with the general plan and that it supports a public transportation facility. Urban design element policy F9 discourages the use of high levels of ambient light and to maintain a night skies where the stars can be seen. The proposed project does not include uplighting, and the proposed lighting would be consistent with the airport land use compatibility plan. And now we get into the findings that are required for signs specifically that involve the encroachment into the city right-of-way that we went over a little bit earlier. So as a summary, the sign encroachment permit can only be granted when there's a special circumstance that's applicable to the property in terms of location or surroundings. Staff believes that this finding can be made. The proposed locations of the signs within the right-of-way are selected to be the most visible and effective for visitors and users of the facility, and that the proposed locations will serve as an attractive identifier for the facility while also providing the most effective visibility for from primary corridors in which visitors would be entering the facility. Finding 5 is that an encroachment permit granted under this section shall be subject to conditions that will assure that the permit will not constitute a grant of special privilege. Specifically, wouldn't be grant a special privilege for other properties in the same vicinity or zone. The property is actually unzoned as it lies today and has no general plan designation. So there's not really a concern with any other property within a similar zone having a grant of special privilege, since this is the only unzoned property in the vicinity. Additionally, it's the only regional transportation facility of its scale in the city or in the vicinity of the city. And the proposed signage serves as identification and directional signage for a public regional transportation facility. And then additionally, that the proposed locations of the signs within the city's right-of-way are selected to be the most visible and most effective for visitors and users of the facility. Finding 6 is that a sign encroachment permit shall not be granted if the applicant's inability to post a sign on private property so that the message is viewable by the public is due to any of the following, or could be avoided with an alternative development plan. As noted in the staff report, staff believes that this finding can be made and that while there are other areas of the airport facility that could house the proposed signage, those locations would be inadequate and inferior in regard to visibility and effectiveness of the signage. The proposed locations of the signs within the city's right-of-way were selected to be the most visible and effective for visitors of the facility. And then finding 7 is that the following conditions shall be imposed on all sign encroachment permits. Design review pursuant to 31-5, that references the design review of the ARC in our sign ordinance. So that's what we're actually doing today. With this action, we would be achieving that first bullet A there. Bullet B is that the city traffic engineer review for traffic and safety hazards, which is a special condition that we'll get into later, but they have preliminarily reviewed this sign and have not found any traffic or safety issues with any of the proposed signs. And that the sign must otherwise be in compliance with this chapter and the sign guidelines. Staff does believe that this finding can be made. The ARC has considered or is considering the proposed design today, and the request has been reviewed by the Traffic Engineering Division for safety hazards. And all other provisions of the sign ordinance and city sign guidelines are accounted for within these findings. In general, finding 8 is for revocation, and that just states that in the event that any of these conditions are violated, that the community development director, after notice to the permittee with an opportunity to respond, may thereafter revoke the permit for the encroachment permit, which is pretty standard. The applicant will be required to abide by all conditions of approval imposed on the permit. As I mentioned, we do have a special condition as the roundabout is a proposed roundabout in the city's right of way that's still under review right now for final design with the city's public works department. So we did add one special condition that just allows staff to approve minor modifications to the final design and placement based on any changes that come out of the design and review of the actual roundabout. So that way that if small changes, numerical changes are made or small tweaks to the placement, they wouldn't have to come back to ARC for that approval. Staff would have the ability to approve that. And with that, the staff recommendation is to adopt a resolution to approve sign permit application SI 250009 for the installation of 4 vehicle-oriented freestanding signs as shown in Exhibit A to the resolution with the conditions of approval included in the draft resolution and the special condition as noted today. And I'm happy to answer any questions. And the applicant's also present.
Does the committee have any questions? No? Would the applicant like to make a presentation? No? No? Okay. Wow, that's a first.
Yeah.
Okay. Any public comment?
Can you remind the public how to participate online?
Information on how to participate remotely by Zoom or telephone is found at monterey.gov/agendas. If you are joining by telephone, dial *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute. There are still no attendees online.
Okay. So, okay. Please state your name.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Monique Caldy, resident of Monterey and frequent user of the airport. My one concern would be the vision line from the vehicles so that the sign's not in the way of a roundabout. Depending on what type of vehicle you're in, if you're in a coupe or you're in a big truck, how is that going to affect any traffic flow and safety? So I would be interested in just seeing an illustration or any type of animation maybe on that. Just because we're looking at, I understand the difference between the 8-foot and the 13-foot, and perhaps that's the clearance that's being allowed, but I think it would be interesting to see a sight line on that.
Okay.
That's all. Not to stop your project, but just a concern. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments?
Yeah, so our traffic engineering division has reviewed this. I don't know that an animation was submitted or has been prepared for this, but they have reviewed it for sightline issues. Like I said earlier, the actual engineering for the roundabout design is under review right now and is being worked out. So there is the possibility that some of that might change, but with the conditions of approval of this requiring encroachment permits, this will have a secondary wave of review by our public works department whenever the encroachment permit comes through after the roundabout's been fully designed. And they check for all those things like sightline issues and any other traffic safety hazards. And with the addition of the special condition that has been introduced today, that would allow staff to make any final revisions that need to be made to the design of the sign.
Okay. So the safety will be again reviewed once the circle is approved or denied. Super. Thank you. Committee discussion?
So that closes public comment then?
I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Yes. We'll close public comments now.
Yeah, as we all know, airports need a lot of wayfinding. It's a large facility. It's a signature business in that district. So I think it's deserving of a large and creative, attractive gateway. This one's really modern and creative. They're already investing in a remodel. I'm glad that it matches the aesthetics and the branding. And I'm reassured that the traffic engineering department will make sure that it's safe. So I think it's a fantastic proposal.
Anything else? No? No comment?
Yes.
Okay.
So that I would have a motion to approve the sign permit application SI 25-0009 with the conditions of approval.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes.
That is appealable to the planning commission with forms available online and in the planning office within 10 days.
All right. Any other committee comments? No?
So just quick, the planning office update is included in the agenda report. We do have an update from our most recent city council meeting. As noted in the report, was an update from the August 5th city council meeting in which they adopted the first reading of our SB 9 ordinance, which is revisions or amendments to Chapter 33 and Chapter 38 of the zoning code. Actually went for second reading last night at city council and was passed there as well. So that will become effective 30 days from last night. Also noted in the planning office update are tentative items that are scheduled for our September 3rd ARC meeting, which includes a project at 66 Mar Vista Drive and a project at 1599 Jocelyn Canyon. And then we also, as always, we noted our administrative architectural review permits and sign permits that were issued in between from our last meeting to today. What we have.
Thank you. All right. Yes, we're good. We're adjourned. Thank you. Thank you all. Right? I know. Upper.